Explorations Inc. trades on the OTC Pink sheets under the symbol PBEGF and on the TSX under the symbol TXP. It's an innovative and dynamic company, engages in the complete exploration, development, and production lifecycle of oil and gas resources within onshore Trinidad. Happy to welcome President and CEO Paul Baay. Paul, we're looking forward to your update. Floor is yours.
Great, appreciate that. I'm just going to take about 5 minutes, give an update on our latest acquisition, and then we'll turn it open to questions, and hopefully you've got some questions from folks. So let me start out by giving you sort of an overview of the corporate presentation. Not much has changed as of yet. The acquisition that we just closed is closed on May 15th, so it'll be incorporated for half of the results of our second quarter and then into the full year as we go forward. But along with doing the acquisition, we also did an equity issuance to help fund this. Didn't want to over-lever the balance sheet, and that helps us give the funds that we need to move forward in what we're doing. So that's all behind us now. Their deals closed, equities closed, and market cap sits just north of $100 million as a result of all of that. Just to give you a quick recap, we're listed as was mentioned, Toronto, London, over the counter, and then also all of our operations are in Trinidad. That's where all of our production comes from, right off the coast of Venezuela, big LNG producer and a big petrochemical producer. The takeaway from this update is, as a result of this acquisition, we are now able to access the liquid natural gas market, which is the highest price market for natural gas. So it's really changed our end sales game, and what it also brought along was some production. But that's the big takeaway for today, is that the company's now the only other company in Trinidad besides Shell and BP, which puts us in pretty good company, that can access that LNG market in Trinidad. You can see basically there's some financials that we wanted to put in here. I know the last time we presented, we hadn't put out our Q1 numbers, and these, just to give you kind of an idea of average daily production, was about 4,300. We picked up another 2,000 BOEs a day of production as a result of this acquisition. So you can see really how material it is when we look at that as we go forward and keep an eye on both the volumes and the production. This is the graph that, again, you can see the change, and that what you're seeing on here is the bar charts of various things that we add to it. But the takeaway again today is that with this acquisition, with the drilling program that we've got, you basically take that 4,000 in Q1, and we look like we'll be about 8,000 or 9,000 BOEs a day by the third quarter, fourth quarter of this year. So again, you're starting to see that growth pick up here as a result of the acquisition and everything that I talked about last time. Just to put a bit of a visual on it, we're now the largest landowner in Trinidad. When I say landowner, a mineral rights holder in Trinidad onshore. Shell, BP, Perenco, those folks are all focusing offshore. And that little yellow box you see there is the box that we picked up. And although it's not a big land base, it's got a really significant asset on it, in that it's got a big gas plant that goes to the various markets. So we've kind of finished doing this acquisition, crown land sales, put it all together, and now we're at that next stage, which is really drill it and get the cash flow going. I won't jump into Central Block a bunch. I know we talked about it a little bit before, but basically it's the largest onshore gas field, discovered some 20 years ago. It's been on production. It went from BG, which is British Gas, to Shell, and now it's come back to us. And the real benefit of it coming back to us is, as a smaller company, we can do a lot of things that just, quite frankly, didn't move the needle for Shell, but really moved the needle for us. So there's a bunch of things that we can do. It's a world-class plant. We paid $23 million for it. Today, replacement value of that plant's probably in the order of $60 to $70 million, and let alone the gas production, the oil production that also comes along with it. And it would take years. It would probably take 5 years to get approvals and build a facility like this. So this is why I've always kind of referred to it as the holy grail of the onshore gas business in Trinidad, and we've been able to find it and get it into our portfolio. 3 things we're going to do quickly. We're going to look at the wells that are there. Second thing is drill some new wells. Then the final thing will be bring in a bunch of gas from around there. So this isn't just buying production. This becomes a cornerstone and a building block for us going forward. This map is the old map. So basically what you see is that red line is our one gas plant that we have now that basically goes up to the petrochemical business. That price we get on that gas is about $2.28. as a result of the acquisition that we did at the Central Block, we now access the LNG plant. LNG prices today are in the $11 to $12 range, so that kind of gives you an idea of the magnitude change. Now we're locked into a lower price contract for the first 16 months, and then this kind of flips around into that higher price contract. But what it really does is it opens up a second market for us in Trinidad. And, I think for the first time, we're going to get real world price for our gas that we find in Trinidad. And now, as I mentioned, we're kind of positioned. We got the gas plants, we got the land, we've got a drilling rig there, we've got properly capitalized with the monies that we've raised. And, just to tell you how quickly we work, we closed the deal on Saturday. They're in the field today surveying for wells. The crews are getting shipped down on Monday. The new pumps are going for wells that we had on previously. This is just going to be, hit the ground running as a result of everything we've done, which is really exciting to be able to do that. So now we're just in this drill to fill mode. We don't need to acquire anything else. We can just go ahead and do what we need to do. We also still have exploration. I don't want people to forget that, although we're going to develop to fill these up. Part of this land position we put together, I think, is one of the most exciting exploration plays in the Caribbean, whether you look at Guyana, where Exxon's gone from 0 to 2 million barrels a day. Suriname's starting to have some success, and then Venezuela, one of the biggest basins in the world. So we also layer on this exploration into this 5 and 10-year plan that we have for the project. And then on the other side of it too, this is a company that really is run out of Trinidad, from the sense of almost all the employees in Trinidad are local. And it really, from a cultural point of view, we're on the ground and making things happen. So on that note, I'll turn it back to you, and I'm sure there's a bunch of questions to get asked. But really the update, the takeaway now is that we've got all the land we need. We've got the gas plants we need. We're cashed up. We just got to drill a bunch of wells.
Wonderful.
I make that sound easy. It's not going to be quite that easy, but I make it sound.
Great. Thank you for that update. We do have lots of questions. Let's see how many I can get through. First, John asks about ST4 progress and next steps. If you can give an update on the ST4 well.
Yeah, so ST4 is a word that, it's an identifier of the next well that we're going to drill. And I'm really hoping that as this program grows and with the cash and everything we have now, people are going to stop looking at it on a well by well basis. I mean, I'm happy to give up the progress. As I mentioned, rig crews are moving down Monday, and we'll be on that here in the next couple of weeks to get going. But I think what's more important than looking at an update on that well is what's the update on the program. And really this program is to drill well after well after well after well after well once we get started. So
okay.
In answer to John's question is we're starting the program in the next couple of weeks.
And can you provide more details on the recent acquisition of the Central Block from Shell Trinidad? How does this acquisition align with Touchstone's strategic objectives? What are the anticipated impacts on production and reserves?
So, I think I talked a little bit about the strategic value of being able to get into the LNG plant. We pick up about 5.8 million barrels of reserve, BOEs of reserve, so it's pretty significant from that point of view. In the one press release we put out, you can see that the value is anywhere between 50 and 80 million, and we paid about 23 million for it. So, gives you an idea of the value that we created through the acquisition. But when you ask about the strategic value of it, and I think that's a really, really good question, is what it allows us to do is to get into this LNG market and get a higher price for our gas, which will really allow us to, crank up what we want to do, whether that be drilling or even if we want to look down the road sometime at distributing some of the free cash.
And the November 24 announcement detailed recent well test results at Cascadura. What are the implications of these results for the field development's timeline and expected production rates?
Yes, so that's quite an old announcement, but it was really key. Again, somebody's obviously done their homework on this. It's a delineation while we drilled on the far eastern side of the pool. And one of them was delineated the eastern side of the pool. And now we're going to basically go back and drill between the delineation well and the discovery wells and drill those up. So that's when I talk about that drill to fill program. And then the second well that was drilled over there actually was drilled across what we call a big fault into a new pool, which turned out to be an oil pool, and really a new oil pool discovery that we can develop as we go forward. And we really haven't talked about that in this presentation very much. We've focused on the gas side of things, but Trinidad, has produced, I think, 3.5 billion barrels of oil since 1908. And some of these pools are just huge. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves on that oil discovery, but it's going to go on pump here in the next month, and then we'll see where it is. But that one, that one's one of those ones that's kind of sitting in the weeds for us.
And have there been any issues with the rig at Cask B?
Yeah, lots of good technical questions. The short answer is no. The rigs work great. We have had issues with the rocks in the formation trying to drill it. It's very difficult drilling in Trinidad, mainly because it's quite young rocks, very, very high temperatures, lots of tectonics, lots of earthquakes going on down there. But specifically around the equipment, we're in great shape on that. We got the best rig on the island, probably in the Caribbean, to be honest with you.
There's lots of terminology. I hope I do it well. Will CB be drilled after Cask 5, or will you go for Cask 6?
So this gets into that whole drilling program, and really what we're going to do, what the central block also does for us, is it allows us to high grade our prospects. So this really becomes now cost of capital, best rates of return. So we'll drill 4 and 5 because the rig's sitting over and we'll drill then. And then we'll look at the cost of capital. What's the price of gas at Central Block? Where's the wells we can drill there? We now have licenses to drill 4 wells at Central Block, which is great. So we can go down and do that. But I think what's really key is what's really changed is this is now a portfolio of assets where we can high grade things. It's not like, this well to this well to this well. And we'll depending on results, depending on gas price, depending on market volumes, depending on world LNG price, depending on world methanol price, we can now move around to take advantage of it. Almost act like a big company, but be nimble like a small company.
And maybe last question due to time, what strategies are in place to market the oil produced from ST3? Are there specific infrastructure or logistical challenges that need to be addressed?
Yeah, there's really none in that point of view. Like we've got tie-ins to the oil system on the island, so that's never an issue. I mean, that's one of the things we've now got with all this infrastructure and everything. We don't need to build anything. We don't need to wait for permits. It's just a matter of drilling these wells, getting them on production. So the company's kind of gone from this exploration phase to a building plants phase to now where it's going to go into a production phase. And that's really the takeaway from the update today.
Perfect. All right, Paul. Well, thank you so much for this update. We appreciate your time and thorough explanation of these great questions, and we hope to see you again real soon.
Thanks again for the time. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. We'll be right back.